was also on the 14th century, on the 4th century. Okay, why? Because it was competing. The church wanted to cover the festivities of a rival. There was a rival pagan celebration, December 25. But now Rome is Christian. We want to take over this pagan celebration. So that's why the Romans now celebrated the birthday of their sun god Mithras during the same time of the year, December 25. So although it was not popular or even proper to celebrate people's birthday in those times, actually it's not biblical to celebrate birthdays because your birthday is not important. It's the day you die, according to the Word of God. It's more important. So Jesus never said that you should celebrate my birthday. Well, if he did, we won't do it on December 25. In order to compete with the pagan celebration, they would themselves order the festival in celebration of the birth of Jesus. So they said, this is the birthday of Jesus. They proclaimed it with no basis at all. It's just to take over the rival pagan worship. So December 25 was chosen to be the official birthday celebration of Christ's Mass so that it would compete head-on with the rival celebration. You know what? I started Googling again December 25 or Christmas or the birthday of Jesus. You know, you get 1 million hits today. People are just talking about it now. They are really looking into this situation now. That truly December 25 is not the birthday of Jesus. It truly is a pagan day. It's the sun god. It's the birthday of a sun god. And the question and answers keeps going through and forth. 1 million hits in Google. Amazing. So there's so much discussion going on. Okay, but I'm just telling you, laying down the facts, okay? Because we're into this darkness. It was attacking the sun god, so let's look at the sun god. So this was the Roman version of Christianity. And it was polluted and mixed and filled with pagan rituals. And Christmas was slow to catch in America. Because America, they came from Europe. They wanted to be free and have religion, freedom of expression of their religion. And they had a hard time accepting December 25. Because they know that this is a pagan day. And they just wouldn't accept it. Actually, in the early colonies considered it as a pagan ritual, and even the state of Massachusetts, that it was banned by law in Massachusetts in colonial days. Amazing, because it was a pagan holiday. And guess what? Today, about a month ago, we just read in the news that there was a court decision because some people wanted to ban Christmas because they thought it was a Christian holiday, so it's a religious festival. So they're trying to ban Christmas in this particular state. I don't know if you read that. And guess what? The court ruled, no, don't ban Christmas. It's not a Christian holiday. It's a pagan holiday. That's what the court ruled. They were not able to ban Christmas. So you can celebrate Christmas in that state. You see how things turn around? I can't understand the world, the Mitcharim today. Look at this. Ezekiel, there's a verse in Ezekiel that he was taken to a vision of the temple, and this is the future, and it was shown to them the detestable thing. The Lord said, this is detestable to me, Ezekiel. And he showed something like there were people celebrating, some group of people celebrating some facet of sun worship which caused their backs to face away from the Almighty. The worship of the sun. And this is something that Yahweh was speaking about, the mixed worship. Why is it mixing here in my temple? Look at the verse in Ezekiel. Then he said to me, have you seen this, O son of man? You are to see still greater abomination than these. And he brought me into the inner court of the house of Yahweh, and there at the door of Hekal of Yahweh, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men with their backs toward the Hekal of Yahweh, and their faces towards the east, and they were bowing themselves eastward to the sun. In the last days, this is Ezekiel's vision, God showing them an abomination, that in his temple there were people turning their backs on the temple, on the Holy of Holies, and facing towards the east, worshiping the sun. I just want to turn it a little bit, another facet, layer, okay? Could it be that, one of the facets is, are we Christians mingling with these things and worshiping sun just turning our backs to Yahweh, yet we're still in the temple and coming in the temple. Or perhaps another face of it. I'll show you a picture that you will not tell anybody I showed you the picture, okay? The Holy of Holies, the holy place, the temple where God will come, Yahweh will come again, Yeshua, is in the Temple Mount. That is where the Temple of Solomon once stood. That is where the beginning of the world began. That was where God created Adam and Eve, and that is the place, the contested square meter of the whole world will boil down to that place. And that will be where the temple of God is. Could it be that Ezekiel was seeing something that people were turning their backs towards that place and worshiping the sun? That's something that looks like this. Okay, I didn't show you that picture. Could it be that that was Ezekiel seeing those? It's happening today. There on the Temple Mount, it's being desecrated. Well, there is darkness in the day of Yahweh, and I shall give signs in the heavens upon the earth, blood and fire and columns of smoke. The sun is turned into darkness. And it shall be that everyone who calls in the name of Yahweh shall be delivered. So you see that the day of Yahweh is filled with darkness. So the plague of darkness is very repeated again. In the last days, it will be the sun is turned into darkness. And we get to see that on the 1st of Abib, Nisan. This year, the sun will be darkened. Woe to you who are longing for the day of Yahweh. What does the day of Yahweh mean to you? It is darkness and not light. So the darkness again is here towards the last days. It's not the day of Yahweh, darkness and not light. Is it not very dark with no brightness in it? That's in Amos chapter 5. And also in Zephaniah, near is the great day of Yahweh, near is the hurrying greatly, the noise of the day of Yahweh. Let the mighty man then bitterly cry out. That day is the day of wrath, a day of distress and trouble, a day of waste and ruin, a day of darkness and gloominess will be upon Mitzrayim of today. So, so happened that in Exodus chapter 12, in our Torah portion, we see this month is the beginning of months for you. It is the first month of the year for you. You see, they were under the calendar of the Pharaoh. But now God says, you know, the very first instruction of Yahweh to his people is to change your calendar. The very first Torah for corporate Israel. This month is the beginning of months for you. Change your calendar. The very first commandment given to Israel. Change your calendar. The calendar in Egypt was based on the sun. And the command, Yahweh commanded Israel to base their calendar on the moon this time, not on the sun. They were no longer to have anything to do with the worshiping of the sun or with the sun god Ra, because God destroyed Ra. So, the beautiful concept of light had been so perverted by the evil one. Teaching them the truth about light again will be a part of Elohim's freeing his people. So, the teaching of the sighting of the moon is a teaching of the light of Yahweh. So, consider this. And he will do this by starting with the celebrations of the new moon. So, based on the calendar, the events of the Passover will be remembered and celebrated each year as an everlasting ordinance. We know that this shall be always repeated year after year. From the sighting of the new moon, on the 10th day after that, you will take yourself a lamb, take it home, and on the 14th of that month, that first month, you are to slaughter it at dusk. Then you shall have the feast, and so on. And this day shall become to you a remembrance, and you shall observe it as a festival to Yahweh throughout your generation. Observe it as a festival, an everlasting instruction. So the first mitzvah, the first command, the first Torah, the first instruction of God to the children of Israel is that sanctify the months. Base it now on the lunar calendar. And this involves counting the months of the year from Nisan, which is the first month, and the month of redemption. And then the Sanhedrin would sit in the land of Israel, and he would hear the testimonies of people who have sighted the new moon. And they will testify that they have seen the new moon, and the Sanhedrin will proclaim, this is the first day of the first month of God. And thus begins the beginning of months of the calendar of God. So this is how God instructed his people to do, as he delivers them from Mitzrayim, from the world system. Salvation starts with the instruction of God by saying, change your calendar. Have nothing to do with the calendar of Egypt and the worship of the sun god. So marking time from the point on which the moon, having briefly disappeared from sight, begins to wax and grow is a sign of constant regeneration and vitality. As the moon comes and it becomes a full moon, it becomes another fading moon, it's like bringing back to life again. Remember, the moon does not have its own light. It reflects the light of the sun. So this is as if the story. But look at the sign of the crescent was taken over by Islam. But the unique power of the crescent of the moon as a symbol of the renewal is only known to the children of Israel. So who observe the commandment of sanctifying the month. So as you observe the sanctity of the month of God, you get to know the renewal. So Yahweh's lunar calendar establishes the timing of his Moedim, which is his appointed time, his feast days, called the paths of righteousness, an aspect of the walk of holiness he has called his people to walk. Okay? So this is known as the Rosh Chodesh, new moon. It's a celebration. It's a new year. It's Rosh Chodesh is the Hebrew term for new and renewed moon. It's a celebration in Israel for the past 3,000 years, ever since Passover from Egypt, up to this day. And it speaks about blowing the ram's horn at the time of the new moon, at the full moon, on our festival day, Psalms 8, verse 13. So Rosh Chodesh is the time to come together with other believers shouting, sounding the shofar. It's a celebration. And they are worshiping the new moon, from new moon to new moon. So every month they look for the new moon, they celebrate. Here comes, we're going to rise up again. Our light will get brighter and brighter, and it's a monthly celebration. So they don't only celebrate that on the feast day, they also celebrate that every month on the new moon. So the moon is a heavenly body that cannot produce its own light. It only reflects the light. And Israel has no light of its own, but she would learn that she was to be the light of the nations, which she is today. And on Rosh Chodesh, the moon's light break forth from the darkness and bring the light to the world as a reminder to us of our calling and our purpose. And our purpose is to bring the light of salvation to the world. And we are reflecting that light of the Torah, the light. The word is the light unto my feet and a lamp unto my path. And I will hide its word into my heart that I might not sin against God. So we bring the light of the Torah. For the command of the Lord is a lamp, and the Torah a light, and reproofs of discipline a way of life. Proverbs 6, verse 23. The Torah and Yeshua. Remember, the Torah is exposing who Yeshua is and his work. He is the living Torah. He is the light. Therefore, Yahweh, Yeshua. Therefore, Yeshua spoke to them again, saying, I am the light of the world. He who follows me shall no means walk in darkness, but possess the light of life. So the light that we are reflecting is the light of the Torah, which is Yeshua. Then we love Yeshua by keeping his commandments. We reflect that light into the dark world. Yeshua spoke about, if you love me, you will keep my commands. You see, it's our obedience that shines the light. Notice this, you are the light of the world. It is impossible for a city to be hidden on a mountain, nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it shines to all those in the house. Let your light so shine before man, so that they will see your good works. So what are they going to see? Not your light. They're going to see your good works. What are your good works? The things that you do in faith, in obedience to the instructions of God. How is the world going to see you? Or you just stand on the bush and you stand there. No, you don't have a light of your own, but the things that you do, your obedience. As you love the Lord, then you will obey his commands. This is your light. Then people will know, these are the people of God. They are obeying his instructions. So it praises the Father who is in heaven.